Yo, I think Damian Lillard wants out of Portland. And I mean, listen, rightfully so. Don't get me wrong. I'm pretty sure Portland is a nice town, nice little city over there on the West Coast, Upper West Coast, Northern West Coast. But, Portland suffers from what, a lot of other cities, suffer from when it comes to sports and when it comes to, especially in the NBA. A lot of big name players don't either want to come to those cities, or once they get there or they get drafted, they become big, they want to leave. And it's looking like Portland's Damian Lillard, my guy D Lillard, he wants to D Lillard, D Lillard. He wants to get out of Portland. You know what I'm saying? A lot of different teams are going to be vying for his services, even though he's not a free agent. He might potentially force a trade. Word got out yesterday, just yesterday, that he wants to force his way out of Portland. And it's looking like teams like the New York Knicks are going to come calling. The Philadelphia 76ers are going to come calling. The Golden State Warriors, there's already been rumors about the Golden State Warriors might come calling for his services, amongst a couple of other teams. So there's proof. I have a little bit of proof that my man D Lillard, he wants a trade, but he kind of doesn't want to trade. Or at least he's putting on a good face to the public that he doesn't want to trade. But I know, bruh. I know you want out of Portland. You want to trade. You want to be competing for NBA championships every May and every June. You don't want to be home after the first round. D Lillard is saying one thing and saying another thing. So he's kind of talking out of both sides of his mouth, but I understand that's the game. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you're under contract, you have to save face. So here's D Lillard talking just yesterday about why he doesn't necessarily want out of Portland. Or maybe he does, but he's going to try to explain it.
I woke up to those reports, a lot of people reaching out to me. But it's not true. I'll start off the rip and say it's not true. I said the last time I spoke to you guys that a lot of things are being said and, it hasn't come from me. So, number one is it's not true. And secondly, I'll also say that I haven't made any firm decision on, what my future will be. So there's really no need for anybody else to speak for me or report this or report that. If there's something to be said, as I said the last time, I'll speak directly with my team and with Neil. So, that's that.
Rumors have been swirling about D Lillard wanting this trade from the Portland Trail Blazers. Spilled a little, Damian, about a year or 2 years ago, signed a massive deal worth so much money. I don't even remember off the top of my head what it's worth, but it was like a 5 or 6 year deal he signed. And he still has 4 years on that deal. And I remember, that summer, the summer before last, when Leonard, I think it was the summer before last, when Lillard signed this deal, I remember saying to myself, bruh, I said to myself, literally, I remember it was clear as day. I said, give Damian Lillard about a year, no more than 2 years, and he's going to want out of Portland, because Portland has always been one of those organizations to where they get to a certain point and they can't go any further. And so I question, I didn't even know why Lillard signed this deal. I get it, the money. He wanted to appear like he was being loyal to the organization that drafted him. And Lillard said, listen, at the time, when he signed that contract, I don't want to team up and make a super team. I want people to come play with me. I'm about loyalty to this organization, and I want to win a championship here in Portland. Now look at it. Even though he vehemently denies it, of course he's going to deny it. Come on. Even though he vehemently denies, he says, my decision isn't made up and nobody knows what I want to do. And I will discuss that with the team at the right and specific time, blase, blase, blah. Lillard, what decision is there for you to make? You signed a contract. You still have 4 years under this massive deal you signed. So you're technically locked in to the Portland Trail Blazers. So what do you mean you have to make a decision? The decision is already made. So that right there lets me know that he's sort of kind of dancing around the subject and he's gonna be wanted out of there, and he will, I think personally, he will eventually get traded. If not during the summer or during the trading period or free agency period, or during, he will get traded. You won't see Damian Lillard fulfill the end of that contract that he signed, that massive deal that he signed. Now, in an interview with Yahoo Sports, this is the interview that caused all of this hysteria that was going on just the other day, just yesterday. And one of the interviewer for Yahoo Sports asked him after the Team USA practice in Vegas, he asked him, having known you for years in your position, why is the current why is this current juncture such a pivotal moment for you, referring to this point in your career? You know, he's getting older. He's, transitioning to, even though he's still young, he's still, getting up, he's getting older like we all are. Like NBA players, they get old overnight, and he's becoming more of an older player now. And so the interviewer asked him that, and Lillard responded by saying, briefly, he said, there are a few reasons. One being, I'm not getting any younger. Just like I stated, he's not getting any younger, he's getting older. Our environment has always been great here in Portland, referring to Portland Trailblazers. We're not losing a lot, but we're eliminated by a shorthanded Denver team that I felt we should have beat. I just walked away really, really, really disappointed, he said. I was like, man, this just isn't going to work. Quote, Lillard said, man, this just isn't going to work. Key phrase. We are not a franchise that's just out here losing every year and getting divided. We have positive seasons. We just don't end up with a championship. And that's some of the things that he said in the long article, which you can, Google and check out. But yeah, I mean, he's showing his frustration. And once again, when he had the opportunity to join the Lakers a year or two ago, when he had the opportunity to, maybe put himself in a more championship level path, he chose not to. He chose to stay in Portland, So that's what you get when you deal with a small market team. I mean, just look at the frustrations in the NFL of Aaron Rodgers, Just look at the frustrations of a lot of the NBA teams in small markets, whether it be, when Cleveland, LeBron left Cleveland, now they're struggling. The Minnesota Timberwolves, you have so many teams across the league that look good on paper, like the Washington Wizards. They have Bradley Beal, one of the best players in the NBA, and Russell Westbrook, who's also still a good serviceable, very good player in the NBA, pretty good player in the NBA. He's not at the pinnacle of his career where he was a couple years ago back in Oklahoma City, but he's still a good player. And, they just can't get it together and win. Could barely make it out of the first round of playoffs. Didn't make it out of the first round of playoffs. And so, yeah, the frustration is real. And look for Lillard to be traded. I don't know when, but look for this man to be traded. Unfortunately, or maybe for him, fortunately. So, stay tuned for that saga. We'll see what happens.